And so, yeah, we have to start now. I'm really sorry about all of this. Oliver is aware that we have a coaching session, but I think he forgot about it. So this is just running on there forever, and it's getting later and later. We have to now start. There's a couple of people that are in both groups, but I guess the people that are now attending mentorship will just have to watch the recording to this session, okay? So we try to avoid this as much as possible, but these conflicts occur because, well, IFT is a very busy company. There's many things going on there. And as soon as anything gets moved around, rescheduled, and there's always conflicts occurring, and we just have to deal with that, okay? So asking for your understanding there. I'm sure you do understand, but well, anyway, that's the way it is. Today, session number 4 of the coaching program, and we'll be talking about journaling today. So that is the theme for today. I'm going to teach you how to make a good journal. And then Tyler will do a bunch of trade reviews. I haven't counted them, but I think I saw quite a few coming in, so I think he's going to be very busy. And then Tony will talk about pullbacks and probably share a couple of his trades as well. Okay, so let's get started here. Get my pen up. First, a question: how are you guys doing with your biggest loss from 20 trades? And there was a question from Patrick Ward there just now. So about how to fill in this form. Once again, I should really change this form, and Betty had sent us a great new example. But really, Patrick, it doesn't matter. All you need to put in here really is this, and this, because you see what we're doing here is. I mean, you can do this if you want. You can fill in the others as well, of course. Can't do that if you really want to. But all we're after here is to find out which of the last 20 trades was the biggest loss. That's all we want to know. So it doesn't really matter what location or event that trade occurred on. But you can, of course, fill it in. And Patrick's, that was your question, right, Patrick? What do we do after the open? You could put in something like MA20 or MA200, for example, or rising MA20, maybe RMA20, or things like that if you wanted to. Okay, if you want to use it. But once again, this form is what we really use it for is only to find out, like here, right, this biggest losing trade, which in this case here, this trader lost $182, right, on his, and that was his biggest loss. So he. And the idea is that you find that trade, you make a journal, you send it in so we can study what your mistake was there, if any. Usually there is a mistake there, so that you can, in the future, hopefully prevent that mistake from happening, and prevent also that loss from occurring. Okay, those kind of losses. So you reduce those big losses. That will help you to improve your results in the long run as well. Okay. So how's everybody doing with their biggest loss in 20 trades? How many trades do you have right now on your current 20 trade sheet? How many trades have you been collecting there on your current sheet? Just type the number if you want. So we keep each other motivated. Okay, Patrick has 8, Jill has 16. Okay, 4 more, Jill, then you can find out which one was the biggest one. Vladimir sent in his biggest loss today, okay, from 20. So Tyler, if you can give some special attention to that, because we like to give those biggest loss trades special attention, because that is those are very important, right? Betty is now counting sheets instead of trades. Okay, that's interesting. Well, anyway, we're just interested in the last sheet, okay, not in the 18 sheets before. Is anybody else collecting numbers here? Anybody else? Because I just see a few people answering here. Oh, Carla has 5 in the Spanish room. Okay, Carla. And is anybody else doing this? Not really, apparently. Okay. Well, of course, ultimately, this is your own decision. If you want to put that work in, I think it's very important to do this, because you have to improve. That's why you're here, right, in the coaching program, to improve. So you must get some of your major mistakes out of the way, and this is what we're trying to help you do it. Okay. So if you are not doing this, then please reconsider. As Betty is just saying, thank you, Betty. She sees that this is generating a jewelry of data, so I would definitely recommend you start doing this, and make sure that your process of development is actually going in a structured way, because if that is really the key to becoming a successful trader. Okay. And this is one of the little bricks in that wall that we're trying to put in there. Okay, enough about that. Let's move on here. So today we're going to talk about how to make a trading journal, a good one. All right, so first we need to talk a little bit about the difference between knowledge and experience. Okay. Trading is often compared to playing golf, in the sense that you can know how to hit a ball. You can read 1,000 books on how to do this, but ultimately that knowledge is not going to help you to become a golf player. You may not even hit the first ball after reading 100 books on how to do it. You may not even be able to hit that ball, right? So it's really about experience. You just need to hit maybe like hundreds of thousands of balls, I don't know, before you really can become a very good golf player. Okay, so knowledge is something here that can be transferred from one person to another person. So you can take a course somewhere, a trading course. That's great, of course. You can also read 5 books on trading. You can spend a whole weekend with Oliver. It's all fantastic, and you need that kind of knowledge. You need it because you need something to base your collection of experience on. All right. So knowledge is definitely an essential ingredient, but it's just a start. What this is really about is building the experience. And the problem with experience is that it cannot be transferred between one trader to another. So you need to accumulate your own experience. Oliver's always saying that I can give me 1 weekend and I'll tell you everything that I use and that I know and that you need to know about trading. I can do that in 2 days, no problem. But you won't be able to do it. And that is where the issue is. You need to really make this method, make this method your own. Okay, develop skills there, collect that experience, make it work. And that is a very long and difficult process. It requires a lot of very hard work. And you will need all kinds of ways of doing that. Okay, and journaling is one part of that. Collecting those 20 trades and so that you find the biggest loss and eliminate the cause of it is another part of that, right? So that's the experience part. So, because that's the issue. Trading is really about experience. It's not about knowledge. So Oliver can share that knowledge. We can share some knowledge as well, but we cannot share our experience, or Oliver cannot share either. Okay? The important thing here really is that many traders hear this message and they're all nodding. Yes, right? Oh, yes. Yeah, we understand. No, absolutely. We agree. Yeah. But they don't do this. They are not patient at all. Patient in terms of allowing themselves the time to develop. But while you're being patient, of course, during the development, you have to work really, really hard. It's just like studying in a university, for example. It will take several years of very hard work. It's the only way there is. Okay, you have to do that. And trading is not much different here. And you need to allow yourself that time. Many traders still believe when they start that they take a course and they practice a couple of weeks a little bit and then they say, oh, I understand it, yeah, right, and now I'm going to make money. Well, if it was that easy, everybody would be a millionaire, right? And it's just not the way it works. So how much time do you really need to collect that experience? Now, I always like to refer here to a guy called Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote a book, Outliers: The Story of Success, and it was published in 2006. It was a big success. And his basic point in that book is that you need 10,000 hours of experience to become good at really good at anything. Okay, so for us as traders, that what it means is that we need to get 10,000 trading hours under our belt. 10,000 hours. Okay, and what do we mean by that? Actually, what we mean is 10,000 hours in trades. This is the vital part here, in trades. So time reading about trading doesn't count really. And time studying a trading tactic does not count either. Or time taking a course. These are not trading hours. This is just studying, accumulating knowledge, right? I'm talking about experience here. Actually, you could say even that, well, time in the coaching class here is also not counting for that. It's not part of the 10,000 hours, all right? So we're really talking about time in trades. And how much is that, actually, 10,000 hours? Well, the bad news is that if you are in trades 4 hours each day, that's pretty good because the markets are only open 6.5 hours, right? So you're spending 4 hours a day, and say you're trading 250 days a year, just to keep it easy, right? To make it easy, that is 1,000 hours a year, all right? 10 years you would need to collect those 10,000 hours. Now, I already told you that you need to be patient in terms that you need to really allow yourself that time to develop. And many traders don't do that, but you don't want to really wait 10 years, of course. If I'm telling you you're now going to spend 10 years being patient, some of you may already leave the session right now, I guess. So let's see what we can do about this. Right? We need to find a way to speed this up. That is the message here. So in order to speed this up, we need to see to look at how do we actually build experience. How can you accumulate experience? Now, already pointed out, the very first one and the most important one is, of course, by being in trades. If you were trading this morning and you spent, like, let's say you spent an hour in trades, already you accumulated an hour there. Okay, that's experience. But there are other ways to build experience, and one important one is to journal your trades. This is where the work comes in, and this is where quite a few traders will already step out. They will be too lazy to do that, so they will not be making progress as much as they really should. Journaling your trades really helps. It's a way of reliving the trade, finding your mistakes, okay? Another way is by looking at journals from other traders. So other traders, if they publish their journal or share it with you, whatever, and you really make a detailed study of that journal, how the trader was taking the decisions and why, and you see also if you can improve on that, those are also very valuable experience hours. And the last way to do this, which is often overlooked, but I think is extremely valuable, is by studying charts that you did not trade. So what you can do is print out a chart, for example. This is just a hint, in a weekend, okay? In a weekend, just print out a couple of charts from Apple, for example, from March, just whatever, or February, it doesn't matter. Just 1 week, take a week, print out the entire day of 5 Apple charts. And at each chart, just start marking up the chart. Marking up the chart. Where are the entries? Where could you start a trade? What do the tops look like? When did the market reverse there, etc., etc. Okay, so that is a great way also of building experience. And as Gurmeet is saying, working on Trading Sim at off hours also adds, absolutely, because Trading Sim is a great tool. Trading Sim was developed as a derivative of TradingView by Oliver together with a company, and it basically allows you to go through trades as if they're right now, and it has all the data from the last 10 years on all the stocks, right? So you can, I think there's even a random button in there. If I'm not mistaken, it will just present to you a random trade from a while ago, and you can, or a random day, and you can just go through there as if you were trading it. That's at least, yeah, right. Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a long time, Gurmeet, so I'm not really sure about it. But it's really something I would recommend that people look into. I think you can even try it for 1 month, and it's not very expensive. If you don't like it, you just skip it. But you can also, of course, just use a chart, maybe on TradingView. TradingView is a great free tool, right? And just step through bar by bar. Whatever you do. Anyway, studying charts that you didn't trade. So, but anyway, the point here is that the word journal is basically coming back here a couple of times. And so journaling is a great way to accelerate your experience. That is the message here. So what types of journaling do we have? There's all kinds of journaling. What we're talking about here really is about trade reviews. That's what we're going to talk about today. So reviewing your trades, like the journals that we present here in the second half of the session, right? And how do we do that? We mark up charts analyzing our actions. We're going to talk in detail how to do that, right? Another thing is tracking errors. Tracking errors. This is more like the 20 trades sheet is part of this, right? By looking from the last 20 trades, which one was the one where I lost the most money, and find out what mistakes you made there that could be prevented or should be prevented in the future. You're tracking your errors, and also that brings you to identifying your demons. You will be finding certain problems that occur over and over again that are haunting you. For example, some traders have very big trouble to stay in the trade and let the last lot trail out. And they always, at some point, they just have to close the trade, and then they miss another dollar of a rally or something. Okay, that can be a demon, and those demons need to be killed somehow. But before you can kill a demon, first thing you have to do is identify the demon. Of course, first you have to become aware of the fact that this demon is actually haunting you. All right. And another thing, which I very much recommend, and I think most of you probably do this, but if you don't, think about this: a notebook with personal notes. This is very, very useful. A good way to do this, I just ordered not too long ago, for example, on Amazon for a couple of dollars, euros, whatever. I ordered a couple of these books. They're like, how big are they? About an inch, I think. They have a hardcover, and a great way to do this is, for example, if you see 2 pages, right, the left and the right page every time. So each day, use one. On the left one, for example, you write down some notes about each trade. So the time and the stock and what the reason for the trade was. Just write those things down. And on the right page, for example, you write down things that you're learning because Oliver said something, for example, or something that you just realized. So you have like a little journal on the right side, for example. Okay, these are things that you have to work out for yourself. You can also write down just how you feel. Maybe you just suddenly are aware of the fact that you're actually very anxious while you are in a trade, that you're going to give back too much of your profits. Write that down. Just the fact of writing it down and becoming aware of that will help you, well, at least a step in the direction of overcoming that problem eventually. Okay? Anyway, so make sure you keep a notebook as well. But here we're going to talk about trade reviews, marking of charts. That's the subject for today. So what I'm really talking about here today is the part of trading that is hard work and that is not liked by many people. Many traders, what they really like to do is hang in the chair, look at the chart, and hit the buy and the sell button. They love to do that, but they don't want to make the time to actually study their trades and learn from their mistakes. Yeah, and all the other things I talked about as well. But today, as I said, we're talking mainly about trade reviews and marking up charts. And this is a very essential part of your development. I read a great quote the other day, and it said that maybe the hardest part about trading is the following. It made me think about it. Just imagine that you are, for example, you are Rafael Nadal, a famous Spanish tennis player, right? Is he doing this by himself, Is he a great tennis player by himself? No, he's not. He has a full-time coach. In fact, they work together as a team. He could never be at his level without a coach that is working 100% to coach him, actually 24/7 on all levels, right? And the same, of course, for soccer teams, etc. All these big teams, I mean, all these people have full-time coaches, right, that are giving them feedback, that tell them that they are an idiot when they need to be told that they are an idiot, right? That kick their butts when they need a kick in the butt to move on. And that's right. The problem is, as a trader, you are your own coach, essentially. Okay, we do a little coaching here, and of course Oliver has some sessions, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody who's really investing time in your performance and observing what you are doing, and from the best as he can try to push you and motivate you to move ahead. And the problem with Traderhood is that you are your own coach. This is going to be very, very difficult. That means that when you don't feel good, you have to pull yourself up by your shoestrings, right? You have to do that. Nobody will do it for you. It also means that when you're looking at, for example, your trades, you have to judge them yourself. It's not like somebody else is going to do it for you. Well, we try to do a little bit here. I mean, but we have limited time, so we try to look at one of your journals every session, okay? But of course, you do many more trades. Now, you can also publish those, of course, and they so that other people may actually give you some feedback. But what I'm trying to tell you is that this is one of the hardest parts of trading. I think that ultimately you are your own coach. It also means you have to be honest to yourself. Very difficult, okay? All of this is a lot of work. And this brings me to my favorite quote of all time here by Thomas Edison, which says that opportunity is missed by most people because it comes in overalls and it looks like work. So it means that a lot of traders will eventually just give up because they're not willing to put in the work. So think about that and make sure that you're not one of those, all right? Gurmeet is asking, do we have a one-on-one coaching available at IFT? No, we do not. Not as far as I know, at least, Gurmeet. If there's anything going on there, then I'm not aware of it. Okay? All right. So, a little word about discovery. And this has to do with work as well. The point is that you really will only remember 100% those things that you discover yourself. It's another reason why you have to put the work in. Because if you are only listening to something, you will only remember 10%. If you're reading something, it will be a little better. You may remember 20%. If you take notes, for example, as I'm speaking now, and you're just writing notes every minute or so, you make a little note, you will likely be remembering 50% of what I'm telling you today, okay? But only if you discover things yourself will you remember everything. So discovery is a very important way to move ahead. It also tells you why you cannot just rely on passively learning from other people. No, it's about you. You have to do it. And you have to coach yourself, as I just pointed out, right? Okay, so what are we doing today? Today we're going to focus on the trade review part of journaling because I believe that this is an essential building break in your tools for your own development. And what does that look like? Well, this is just an example. We're not going to look at this trade, but what I'm trying to point out here is basically that you see a chart, you mark up the chart, so you see where you entered, where you added, where you took your profits, where your stop adjustments were, maybe some other things that you saw in the chart, like, hey, I see a resistance here, origin of trouble, things like that, okay? That's what we're going to talk about today. And Betty says, when you have a huge loss, you will remember and feel it for years. Oh, yes, definitely. Okay, so why are reviews that important? What is the magic with trade reviews? Well, as I said before, it speeds up your development process, so invest that time. For example, every day, what you should be doing, what I would recommend you to do every day, take 2 trades that you did, okay? A winner and a loser, for example, or a good trade and a bad trade. And that's different, right? A winner is not necessarily a good trade. You can have a good trade that is a loser. You can have a bad trade that is a winner. Okay, this is another thing where you have to be honest to yourself. It can be very difficult. It's very tempting to look at a winning trade and not be willing to see the mistakes that you made there, or even admit to yourself that that was actually a very bad trade and that it was sheer luck that you made that profit. It can be very difficult. Okay, so so speeding up the development process, that is something we need, because otherwise we need 10 years before we'll get to our 10,000 hours, right? And we can't do that. Now, the other important thing is that in you, there are 2 traders. This is the way Oliver likes to put it. There are 2 traders inside of you. One trader is the trader in the trade. So you enter the trade, and as you are in this trade, there's 2 important things. First, you don't know what's going to happen. There's no way for you to know how this trade is going to end. Okay, all you're doing is entering the trade because you think the odds are good, but you don't know what the end will be. You maybe get a full stop out on the most beautiful setup. Anything is possible. Also, at the same time, of course, there are all your emotions that are running inside of you, and all these thoughts in your head that are saying, oh, maybe I should do this, or is this a pullback? I'm not sure. Is it a pullback? No, maybe I should wait 1 bar more. Maybe it's too violent for a pullback. Well, no, actually, it's actually not that bad. Oh, look at this. It's 50. All these voices in your head, right, that are going on, while your fear of losing is putting stress and pressure on there. Okay, that is what you experience as you are the trader in the trade. Now, after the trade, the situation is entirely different. Now you're looking at the same trade, but now there are 2 differences. Number 1, you know what happened. Okay. Number 2, there is no pressure. There's no emotions. There's no doubts or thoughts. There's nothing like that. So now you are a totally different trader. And that means actually that you are now collecting experience on the same trade, but from a totally different perspective, right? So double the fun here. You're basically doubling your experience here on one trade by just making a journal. Another way to get even more out of it, I strongly recommend this: share your trades with others. Make sure that either you have, well, first of all, make sure that you're a member of one of the Facebook groups, right? There is an English group, the Equity Group. If you're not a member, look in your control center and hit the button there. There's a link there, to sign up for the Facebook Equity Group, and make sure you register there. So you can publish your journals there. And you can also look at other traders that are publishing their journals there, and you can comment on those, right? This is a way for you to get more information, and to accelerate your development, all right? Get feedback on your trades, because maybe the way you looked at your own trade and you posted, somebody says, okay, I see what you mean, but did you actually see that huge bear wall there? Why did you go long there against the bear wall? And maybe you totally overlooked that. Somebody else points it out to you. This is part of overcoming that problem, that you also have to be your own coach, right? And a last thing here, and I find this also very important, also often overlooked. It's very rewarding to journal. Of course, it's work, so you have to make an effort there. But if you put in the work, one thing you will find out is that, well, you will find that in circumstances where, for example, you traded badly, you traded poorly, right? And you got a big loss, and you maybe 2 times or 3 times that day, and maybe you were even stopped out on max loss per day, whatever. So you feel awful, right? You don't feel good. Your day was ruined. Now, if you start journaling at least one of those trades, preferably 2, do that, then you will find that where your mistake was and where you could have actually done something else, where you should have done something else, where you could have made the difference. Okay, and this brings back a sense of control, because once you realize what your mistakes were and how you could have prevented them, that means that tomorrow you will be a different trader. Tomorrow you'll arrive at the trading party at 9:30 a.m. New York time with different tools and experience, and you may be able to avoid those mistakes, right? So where you just felt awful after being stopped out 3 times and max loss per day and whatever, now you're just going to make journals of those trades, and you will see where you will, and you will actually start to feel positive, because now you have learned something. Okay? Pay attention to that. When you do this, how much of a difference this really can make. Okay? Ali is saying, a psychology question. I find myself taking too many trades. Any tips on how to avoid overtrading? Yes, I have a great way of fixing that, Ali. Don't do it. Just don't do it. That's the answer, right? You make too many trades? Well, then decrease the number of trades that you're taking. That's a little silly answer maybe, but essentially that is what it is. You know that you're doing this, but you're still doing it, right? So everything starts with awareness. The fact that you asked this question already tells me that you already know that you are actually overtrading. So if you notice, then the question, in fact, is like, why are you doing it? You see, what is the cause of that? You should find a way to stop that. Go back to the reason where this is coming from, and maybe limit yourself to 2 or 3 trades a day, and just stop after that. It's ultimately all a matter of discipline. If you promise yourself, I will not take more than 3 trades every day, now you can become a little picky, right? Because each time that you take a trade, there will only be 2 left, and there will only be 1 trade left for that day. But of course, you have to be responsible here and disciplined, and actually stop trading once you have only 3 trades, but no matter what the result is. Okay, so let's move on here. And Betty is saying, Ali, journaling helps. It's hard work. You will hate trading a lot because it's so much work. Okay. No, it really helps, Ali, because that's actually a good suggestion, Betty, because also while you're journaling, you cannot be trading, right? So the point is that you should be starting to see the journaling as a part of your trading. So, for example, we all know that after 11 a.m., the markets usually dry up. It's becoming much more difficult to trade the markets, right? So why don't you just trade for 90 minutes after the open, then stop trading, and you start to make your journals. Close those charts down, or disconnect from the data feed, whatever, so that you can focus on the journaling. That's time much better spent, probably. Okay? All right, let's move on. So, what software can we use here? So the first, most people are of course on a Windows machine, and this is the most popular markup tool that is used by most traders. It's provided by a company called TechSmith.com. You can go there, and I think it's a one-time fee. I believe it's like $60 or so. Okay, it's very much worth it. Everybody who has this tool is very happy about it. You can also use, of course, there's something called Snip and Snatch or something, or Snip and I don't know what it's called, Snip and something. In Windows, Paint is very old. You can still use it, of course. If you are on Mac OS X, I'm using Preview. I'm trading on a Mac, and so I take my snapshot from Windows, send it to my Mac, and I'll use Preview. It's a great tool. Comes with every Mac computer to mark up your charts. And of course, you can also use paper and pencil. Snip and Sketch, that's it, right, Patrick? Thank you. You can also use paper and pencil. Just print out that chart and mark it up, and then just take a picture and post it. All right. So, plenty of options here. Plenty of opportunity, possibilities. Okay. let's start here. First of all, so you want to make a journal, a trading journal. You want to journal one of your trades. The first question is, what data should you be including? Now, the first thing you should be including, of course, is the name of the stock and the time frame. Make sure that that's clearly visible, because each stock has its own characteristics, its own behavior, right? It's very different. If I don't know which stock this is, then it's also very difficult to actually have a good feeling, for example, for how much is the ADR, for example. I have no idea if you don't tell me what stock it is. So that has to be included. The time frame as well. You want to know, is this a 2-minute, a 5-minute, a 15-minute chart? This has to be clear. And then, of course, the prices and also the time, and preferably also the date. So if you see this journal again in a year from now, then you can actually find back the exact moment when this trade was done, and you can go back there and take a look if you wanted to. Okay? So this is important to include. Then the next thing to include, okay, I'm going to focus mainly on the open right now, okay? At the open, as you all know, we're looking at the Fab4, the Fabulous 4, the trap zone. The trap zone is usually created from the last, or part of it is the congestion area, right? Which is the last price data from the last hour yesterday. So what you really need here is at least 1 hour of data, or 1 hour of data, okay? You need to explain, to show, to demonstrate in your journal where your trap zone is actually coming from. Now in this chart, this is not done, okay? So here you see that this one only goes back half an hour here. And suppose that you start the day here, right? This is the separator, right? So we start here with this green bar. So we have a GBTO here, a green bar takeout. This bar is taken out here. And say you want to short here. Is that a good idea? Is this a good trade? Is this a good entry? Well, the answer is you don't know. Because in the journal, there is not enough data to the left here to actually have an opinion about that. We don't know where the trap zone is. Is that clear? So I'll show you the same chart, but now with more data to the left. Here it comes. Okay, it's the same chart. Look, here is that entry. It's right here. So what do we see here? Well, we see actually quite a big Fab4 here. This thing is really, actually, this is what you really have here, right? So your Fab4 is roughly here. So what you're trying to do is short here at the lower bound of the trap zone. Now, in the previous picture, you cannot see that. I'll show you. In this one here, you cannot see this. Oh, there we go. You cannot see that because there's not enough data to the left. So make sure that you include enough data to actually motivate where your Fabulous 4 is, your trap zone. Okay? That's very important information in any journal. The same thing holds to the right side here. So we have a chart here, and this chart here has Fab4 here. Okay. And this is a great trade, right? Look, because here we have also a green bar takeout as an event. And where does it originate? It originates off the MA200 here. Great trade. We short here. 2 lot short, cover, cover. Great. Go to the beach. Order a cocktail. All right. Great day. Well, not really, because I'm going to show you the same chart here, but now I'm going to include data what happened after I got out of this trade. And here it is. Here it is. Look, this is amateur at its best. Okay. Getting short here, covering here, and missing all of this decline here completely. This is a very big mess up, right? This is a trade that I did a couple of years ago, right? Before I saw a light. So it's important when you make your journal that you include enough data to show the trap zone and also that you include enough data to show where actually, let's say, the last leg ends. So for example, I could cut it here, roughly. Okay, this is no longer relevant, but this is relevant to the trade. It keeps going, and here is the first series bounce up. So include that as well, and that's it. All right. So when you take a snapshot of your chart, keep these things in mind, please. So next, yeah, let's move on. Oh, let's go here. So in summary, make sure you include enough data before the trade. Think about it, okay? And also make sure that you include enough data after the trade to see what happened next. But don't overdo it. I see a lot of charts where, in fact, everything is completely compressed. Oh, is the screen stuck? Oh, wait a minute. Are you sure? Screen stuck? Yes. In that case, let me see how I can fix that best. Oh, it's fine. Okay. Still on what is the problem? Okay, then what you should do, best thing to do is, okay, on the upper right window, people who have their charts stuck, on the upper right window, there is a red button, right? A red cross. See that? There's a cross with a red circle. If you click on that, it says reload or end session. You click reload session there. Let's see if that fixes your problem. Current sheet should be how much price data. Does that fix the problem? Yes, is it fixed? Okay, good. Yeah, can we go on then? Yes. Okay, then I'll move on. I'm assuming everything has been fixed here. So, okay, but don't put in too much price data either. I see a lot of charts where there's so much information on there that is completely irrelevant to the trade, and the data is completely compressed. So you get all these tiny bars on top of each other, and it's very difficult to see what is going on. Okay, you can no longer see where the actions are. So I'll be pointing it out whenever that happens. Okay, now the good news is that what we're going to do here is we're going to apply the checklist as we make the journal. So journaling here, the way we're going to make our journal is nothing different, is no different from applying the checklist. It's the same thing. So we're going through everything step by step: identification, location, entry method, initial stop, and we're going to mark up the chart. Okay? So we're going to do that for one example here. I have one example trade here that we're going to journal. Now, this is an old trade. As you can probably see, this is when SQ was still trading in the $70 range. I think today it's $250 or so. This is from years ago. It doesn't matter. Same principle. So here, let's go through this step by step and see how we can actually apply the checklist while we're journaling. So the first step in the checklist is identification, right? So the question is, what event do we see here? What event is the reason for the trade? Well, it's a bottoming tail bar. That's right. That's good, Patrick. It's a bottoming tail bar. So you point that out. So you somehow mark that this is the bar here, that you identify a bottoming tail bar, and that this is the bar that actually gets you into the trade. This is your event, okay? Second part in the checklist is, what's point 2 in the checklist after event identification? Step number 2 is, anybody? That's right, Patrick. Location. Where did we find this event? And today we would probably see this a little different. I say here bottoming tail bar above Fab 4. By the way, I also recommend that you mark your Fab 4 in your charts, okay? When you make a journal, mark it so that we can see what you were seeing, that we can look through your eyes when we see the journal. Today we would probably say double plus. That's right, Gurmeet. Very good. Bottoming tail bar at double plus. Okay? So you point that out. The third step is the answer to the question, how did we enter the trade? Confirmation or anticipation? Well, oh, sorry, too quick. In this case, it doesn't matter. In this case, I entered this trade then by confirmation, meaning above this bar. All right. Is that a good thing? Today, I probably would enter by anticipation here. I think it's better, but it doesn't matter. The journal is about what I did, right? And at that moment, several years ago, I decided to enter here by confirmation. Okay. And the next step is how many lots? Well, 2 lots. So I buy 2 lots here above the bar. So buy 2 lots, confirmation. And the next thing, of course, I have to also point out then is, where is my initial stop? This is point number 4 in the checklist. And the initial stop, I decided to put it here at max loss per trade. Is it necessary to put a max loss per trade? No, it's not, because there is quite a distance here between the MA200 and the low. So in the checklist, you have every right to place it at event here. Okay? But again, I'm just pointing out here in this particular trade a couple of years ago, this is what I did. I put it here at max loss per trade. So other traders can look at this and see what I did here. Adding to the trade is the next step. Now we get to step number 5, 6, and 7. Adds, profit takes, stop adjustments. All right. And so adding to the trade here 1 lot. And why did I do that? Well, you can also write that down here. So adding 1 lot here on a topping tail bar takeout. See, here's the topping tail bar takeout, topping tail bar takeout, add. It's a good thing to document this. Why did I add to the trade there? Okay, write it down. Okay, so if we move on and we're going to add and reduce to this trade, take profits, whatever, it can get really complicated here. So we need a way to keep administration. So at any given point that we are aware of what the situation is. Now, the way to do that is the following. So we have +2, right? What does this mean? This means that buying 2 lots and the position that results from that is 2 lots long, okay? Adding 1 lot, so now the new position is, well, we had 2 lots, we add 1 lot, so the new position is 3 lots long, okay? Suppose we sell 2 lots, -2, new position, +1, okay? Suppose we sell 3 lots from here. We have 1 lot long, we're selling 3, so now we're 2 lots short, okay? Close the trade, buy 2, back to 0. Is this clear? Any questions about this? Somebody asked about this the other day. I hope it's clear now. So this will help you to know at any given moment in a complicated trade how many lots you actually have in your position. Okay? Okay. Talati, so this is buy or sell, right? How many do you buy or sell? And this is the resulting position. So we start at 0. We have nothing. Buy 2. Position, Now we have 2 lots long, right? If you buy one more lot, you have 2 plus 1 is 3 lots long now. Okay? Suppose you sell 2 lots. That means that now you have 3 lots, you sell 2, means 1 lot left. Okay? This is the complicated one. You have 1 lot left and you sell 3. Now you're 2 lots short. 2 lots short, we point that out by -2. Okay? We are 2 lots short in the trade, then we buy 2 lots back, and now the result is 0. So you just always add these 2, right? This one with this one, this one with this one. That's the whole trick. Okay? Right. So let's move on. We have another add here. And why did we add here? Well, this is a bottoming tail bar. See the bottoming tail bar? So I'm pointing out that I am buying 1 more lot. I have 3 lots here. I'm adding 1 lot to that. So now I have 4 lots long. And why did I add here? Well, because of the bottoming tail bar. Okay? Stop adjustment. So the stop was here. Moving the stop up to here. Talk about that in a minute. Pierre is asking, is it allowed to short a stock while having a lot long? Well, it's just the effect. If you have 1 lot long and you sell 3 lots, then you will end up with 2 lots short. Okay, you can also see that as 2 trades, of course. You're selling 1 lot and then you sell 2 lots more. You can also look at it that way. It doesn't really matter. It's the same result. Okay. Somebody's missing 3 pushes here. Gurmeet is missing 3 pushes. Okay, fine. But anyway, we're talking about journaling right now, not about what I did there here, right? Gurmeet, the focus is really about documenting the trade. That's what we're looking at right now. So next one here. So selling 3 lots here. See that? Selling 3 lots. So now we had 4 lots in the trade. We're selling 3 lots. So we're left with 1 lot long here. Okay. Another stop adjustment. Here we go. Stop goes up. And we're out. This is where the last lot gets stopped out. Okay. So basically all the information is in here, but we need to make this a little bit easier to digest. Okay. Otherwise, especially when we have a lot of actions in the trade, it becomes really difficult. Gurmeet is asking, how do we specify what point we adjust the stop? Excellent question. I'll talk about that in a few minutes, maybe even in 1 minute, Gurmeet. It's imminent. First, we're going to look at in which order did we do these actions, right? And we're going to put numbers in front so you can easily see that. And here we go. Look, what you see here is the number 1 telling you 2 lots long here. This is also number 1 telling you this initial stop is here. Look, they have the same number. That tells me that this happened at the very same moment. At the same moment that I'm buying 2 lots here, going long, the very same moment my stop is here. Okay? Step number 2, adding. Step number 3, adding. Step number 4, the stop adjustment. Step number 5 here, selling 3 lots. And look, also step number 5 here, meaning that this happened at the same time. So the moment that I sold my 3 lots here was also the very same moment that I adjusted here to stop. Okay? So that gives us a way to answer Gurmeet's question. At what point did you adjust the stop to 4? Well, let's take a look. You just add another arrow here. See that? This one here tells you that at this point here, when the market got here, that was the moment when the stop adjustment occurred. All right? Just add another arrow and make sure it matches up with a stop. That is the whole idea. So, 1 second. Okay. Yes. So So we have a lot of information here in the chart now, a lot of black arrows and text and everything. And it's nice to use colors to just make that a little easier to read. Now, the way I do that is that when I buy something or cover something, whatever, so when essentially when there's a plus here, I use a green arrow. Okay, green is buy, red is sell for me, black is stops, green is buy, and I use gray for just any other arrow, like a point that I like to mark in the chart. Okay, this makes it much more easy to read. It's much easier to see what's going on here. Brown I use for identification, for checklist stuff. Okay, how you do this is really up to you. It doesn't matter. You can do your own style. I'm not telling you to do it this way. I'm just trying to inspire you, give you suggestions on how you can do it, how I do it. Feel free to copy this if you like it. If you think it should be done different, if you think you can do a better job, go ahead. Make your own system out of it. As long as it's complete and it has all the information that we need to know. Okay? One last thing that I like to mark up as well is, where did the trade start? Because sometimes you'll see a chart, a lot of arrows in it, and you think, where does this start? Where's the beginning of it? Well, by blowing up this big arrow here, you know that here I'm going long or short, whatever. I'm starting a new trade. So it's easy to see that as an anchor. All right. So now that we have this, any questions on this so far? Ali's saying, I usually trade the 5-minute chart, but I create the Fab4 using the 2-minute chart. Is this okay? It shouldn't really make, no, it's not okay. No, it's not okay, because your MA200 is different on the 5-minute, right? And so you should really use the 5-minute to make your to create your Fab4 there as well, then, using the MA200. Okay. All right. Now that we have a journal, now we can actually add some errors to it. We can lean back and look at it and look at the chart, look at our journal, and say, where did we make a mistake? Okay. Yeah, FOMC can wait, Tyler. We're going to finish this first, if you don't mind. So errors are deviations from the plan, right? So there's a difference between an error and an improvement. An error means that you failed to do something that you were supposed to do. You failed to add, you failed to wait for 3 pushes, whatever, okay? So what you can do here, no, wait, I think, oh yeah, okay. Then there's improvements. Improvements is different from an error. An improvement is something where the checklist essentially leaves you free. So, for example, your profit takes. Your profit takes are not mandatory. Your profit takes are rights that you earn, right? You don't have to take profits, but you must take your stop. Never forget that. Stops are mandatory. You have to act. A profit take is a right that you earn. You don't have to take profits. You can do it later. You can try to get some more. Okay. So it's important when you study your journal to make a distinction between these two. Where could I have done better, improved? And where did I seriously make a mistake? All right. So, example here, JD trades. Look at this trade. You should be able to read this now. So we see the identification here, bear elephant bar, and I decided to enter here on confirmation, right? That's a mistake because this bar is so big that actually it's at least bear elephant plus. Okay, bear elephant plus, meaning that actually I should have anticipated. I like to use the color blue here. Somebody copied that. I think it was Michael Pagan that I saw last time using this too, and I liked it because the blue really jumps out of the chart. So I failed to anticipate here on the bear elephant bar, and I marked that in blue because I want to really make sure that this burns into my eyes, so to speak. Right? This has to hurt. And the same thing here. I added here after a very long drop here, okay, on the very first bar here. That was probably not a good thing to do. It is technically maybe correct, but it's really too much distance after this drop here. It's too quick, okay? So I'm marking that in blue as well, all right? And then here, this trade is the trade that I showed you before with the smiley on it. Remember that smiley where I took one profit here, and I said, oh, great, let's go to the beach. This is the same chart, but now I'm marking it up with some mistakes here. So first of all, short here. I short 2 lots here, but my risk management plan in those days was one where I said that I should have shorted 3. So I didn't short enough. I'm too light in this trade. Why? That's too bad. I did not write that down here, so I don't know. I don't know why I had to go 3 lots short here. I can't remember, and I didn't write it down. This is lost forever in history. That's too bad, right? So this is a mistake in the journal, actually. Here, I'm taking profits way too soon. What's my mistake? I failed to wait for 3 pushes. So whenever you can say that you failed to do something, that is basically that you were obliged to do something, you didn't do it, and that's an error. And the same thing here. I should, at this point here, this is starting to power trend, right? So we're going to trail this on an MA8, of course. I didn't see that. What did I do? I committed a novice error here. I went for stop method number 4, which is the bar by bar stop. And there's not even distance here, really. This is nothing. I went bar by bar and I got nicked out here. I got what I deserved. Okay, that's another very big mistake. So I failed to identify the power trend. You see, by marking these things up here, now you have a journal where you can learn from your mistakes because they pop out of the journal. They are, what's the word again? Eyesore. And that's the way it should be, so that hopefully in the future you won't be making those mistakes again. All right? Okay, just a trade here. If it comes up, there it is, yes. This is only an example where everything comes together. I'm just putting this up here. This is also an old trade of mine when Microsoft was still trading at $100. This is here only to show you that in this way, with this kind of review, you always know what's going on. For example, you know here that this is step number 10. You're taking profits here, 1 lot off, and you're left with 1 lot long. Okay? There's no doubt about that. Same thing here, 11. What happened at 11? This happened at 11. Oh, when we got here, that is when I moved my stop apparently to 11. You can immediately see that, okay? Here, buying 1 lot, resulting in a 2 lot long position. So I'm adding to the trade here at 12, and now I'm 2 lots long. Taking 1 off, and there's a mistake here, this should be 0 here. Taking 1 off at 13, taking 1 off at 15 here, and done, okay? So this is the way that I'm doing it, and I hope it inspires you. So feel free to copy this. If you think it's a good way to do it, feel free to modify it, do it your own way if you like, but make sure that you have all this information in. So also when we're presenting the trades and we're reviewing them, it's easy to find back all the information, okay? Last but not least, what do you do with all these journals? What I do is I collect them in PowerPoint, or actually I now do it on Google Slides in the cloud. It doesn't matter, it's all the same. But that's like PowerPoint from Google, right? So you just put them all in there, and it's nice to do this because that means that you can easily browse through them. So you make a whole book. Every day you add a couple of journals. You're documenting your own development process. If you go back later and look what you were doing a year ago, you will be really, it will really be revealing to see how much progress you have made and to see what you were thinking a year ago, okay? So it gives you also a great feeling of accomplishment. And you get something like this, right? if you put it in index mode or table of contents, you will see a lot of journals here. So you open a glass of wine, sit on the sofa, and you can actually scroll through them one by one, see what you were doing years ago or a year ago or months ago, whatever. Okay? So this concludes my journaling presentation. Are there any questions here on this? Any doubts? Or has everybody fallen asleep? Or maybe everybody's trading the wild markets. It's not that wild, actually. Oh. It's actually it's a bit of a bummer, right? This big volatility. I don't see it. I mean, there's a little bit of a drop, but that's always with the FOMC. Okay, so no questions. Still awake and listening. Excellent. Okay, perfect. Okay, then so I hope this helps. I hope you can really try and use this in your own journaling and improve there. Okay. Now Betty's saying when we want to make some changes to the trading plan after a while, how do we do it? Well, basically, Betty, I think what you do is, first of all, you need to have your checklist written down, right? You have that all pointed out. Now, what you do is, in the check, you can usually add a line to it. You just add, exactly, well, you can add a rule to it. So, and maybe you start point 8. You have 7 points in the checklist, right? Maybe you start point 8 and you say my own additions, whatever. And you write down an extra rule that you have decided to start to use in your trading. And maybe later you want to remove a rule or actually change a rule, make it a little different. I think that's the way to do it. Make it a little different. I think that's the way to do it. Okay? But don't overdo it. Do this carefully, step by step, because don't start to. I mean, I think changing your trading plan is something. Maybe if you make one change a month, one tiny change a month, I think you're doing good. If you do more than that, not sure. I think you're already maybe overdoing it. Don't change it every week, for example. That is not a good idea. You really need to give. To allow yourself time to really test out your change and get used to it as well. Okay? Betty has a problem with profit taking. I have a lot of unrealized profits and end up losing because no 3 pushes. That is wrong. Okay, well, in the current market, you would probably want to go for 2 pushes, right? Because we see a lot of no follow through after the open. The first bar is big, there's another bar, and that was it. So 2 pushes will probably help you here in this situation. Later in the year, when the markets become more volatile again, 3 pushes may be something you have to go for. You have to, at some point, you will develop a little bit of a feeling for that. Okay. By the way, another thing, never forget the 3 pushes or 2 pushes is not the goal for your trade. The goal for your trade is the whale, right? 2 or 3 pushes is only there for you to take profits because your profits have become ridiculous. You have to take some off. But it's very much okay to go through the first leg without any profit takes, add on the pullback, and then take profits on the new high. That's what counts, the profits on the new high or the new low, catching the whale. That is our objective. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Jan.
All right.
Well done as always. Good job getting those instructions out for your journals. Some of you were going to notice here, please get your name on there. It's great having a name so that I can easily identify and I don't have to do all this extra work kind of trying to move it from your email onto the page. Yeah, so good job. Now you guys should understand all the stuff that's written here, and maybe you can I'm going to need some of you to point out if I put up your chart and I can't, and I don't see a name there, right? I'm going to have to call out and say, whose is this? And you're just going to have to tell me because I can't always remember. right? So we got Dennis's trade here. Let's see. All right, I'm just reading here in the upper right corner. Obvious algorithm trading, since as soon as you enter, the reversal comes. You don't even have to make those conclusions. That's not obvious. You don't know what's making all that happen. You know, don't even name it. You don't, like, all of that is just trying to know something that you can't know. So, now, good trade risk management by respecting the stop and controlling the risk. Let's see. Let's go take a look at it here. So, you had a hidden red bar ignore entry right here. Now, this is after we've cleared the Fabulous Four, right? We've already moved through. And you had an event stop right here. And I guess I'm a little confused because it says you went long right here. And then I don't see a sell. So if this was your event stop, I don't know why this didn't take you out. It looks like you added another 2 lots, right? So you added 2 more right here. I think the first one did stop, right? Is that correct here, Dennis? It looks like, yes, you entered here and you did stop. All right. So you're just saying you did take the event stop. Now I get it. You re-entered again here. You added up here for reasons that are undisclosed because we need to give it a name, and I don't know what the name is for this other than new high, which is where people are generally selling, as they did. And then you did another event stop, right? So yeah. So here's the interesting thing, Dennis, who's not with us right now. Dennis appreciates the fact that you know, he respected his stops, but honestly, any of these stop outs that had happened, did any of them change the trend? Like this little red stop, was that a change of trend? Was this a change of trend? Does any of it make some kind of lower low that puts an end to the movement? Because I think that's the important thing. Like, you have no reason to believe that this move is over. This is actually, you know, if you consider this a fluid move up, this is the first pullback. This is the first real entry. Now, if this is the first real entry, the only problem here is that Dennis was entering where? What was this area for the people that entered right here? What does that represent for the people that entered at 1? Yeah. It's their whale complete, right, Andrew? Yeah. So if you're jumping in right where people go whale complete, can you be surprised if it pulls back 50% into that zone? You really can't, right? You have to look at this in the context of the whole thing. I love how this whole solid green move is drawn in, right? And the thing is, do we ever get anywhere near 50% of that solid green move? Even after it collapses, we're not even near 50% the initial solid green move, right? So the checklist is really there to keep you in these things. And if you're checklist trading, this, you know, I can understand maybe this was a scalp, but let's say you're going to play an RBI. What did we learn a few days ago about when to enter on a hidden red bar ignored? Look at this right here. This was the entry above this bar. What's important about that bar? Why is that? Other, you know, take away the fact that it's on somebody else's new high. What else makes that one less qualified as a red bar ignored or a hidden red bar ignored? What else is it? This is actually a really good lesson here. Let's see if you can spot it. Yeah. I'm going to give you a hint. What is it about the bar before the red bar ignored? Yeah. Look at the open, like this is the preceding power bar. And notice where its opening price is. It's already got space. It's already got space, right? So it's already opening way above, and it's part of a new high. There's just a lot of reasons for it to pull back. And if it pulls back, it's probably going to hold somewhere near the 20. And then interesting, interesting place to add would be like right here. Here's a pullback, right? It's taking out a fair amount of red. Some people got in here. It's not one of our signals, but some people might get in above this green. And then where would they take profit? New high, right? Can you see how we're all kind of wired backwards, right? Some people are going to be scared of this red bar here, and they're going to say, I'm not going to enter in that. But then immediately we take out 2/3 of that red bar and start to continue. And some people said, we're in an uptrend. I'll put one in right here. And then of course they're taking some off, right? Now this ends up moving in a channel, right? It's just a channel that goes like this along with the 20 MA. And you can't let this, is this a clear power trend? Yes or no? No, it isn't. Is it even that clear with pivots where everything is? No, it really isn't. Can we agree that this is the most recent stop that formed once we made a new high? Like people who bought here, that's the stop, right? Which means that all of this junk in here, just leave it alone. Do you have to name it anything? I think when you get into a new high, you go, well, where did that last move originate? Well, you might be able to say here, so we might be able to go from here to there. And I think I'm giving Dennis a hard time because here's the clearing bar. Here's the first pullback. But now we're getting in like after everything. And now we're trying to get in again. And, I would argue that if Dennis is going to do this and just is like something cool is going on, I may not even get it right. I'm just going to get in here. Just put in one lot, set this stop, and leave it alone. Right? Wouldn't this go on much further? Because I think what happened was like a tremendous zoom in on these tiny little things here, right? You can see how now we're going like microscopic in this trend, but you got to zoom out and go, where are the reasonable places for this to fall, right? And after we get up here, this is a good, 2-bar stop zone. And then as we get up here, right, now we have a fluid move. Here's other one, right? And it pulls back again. And as we get up here, now we've got this one, right? And now after time, right, we get to 11:20. Now we're late in the morning. We get a failed new high, and we can say, all right, failed new high, multiple pivots. It's kind of a 180 right here. We can close this play, that's just saying whale complete, not losing any. You see how that could work better? I mean, there's nothing wrong with just taking a 1-lot entry here and having a max loss per trade stop, or and then once this gets up here, now the stop moves up. You see, I'm just asking you to be gentler on yourselves because I sense the wanting to make something happen here. So I think Dennis thought the next move was going to be this, which isn't totally unreasonable considering that this was the first move, and maybe was thinking, okay, we'll get a small pause and the next move's going to go like that. But the problem is we don't know what the second one's going to look like, and just because it didn't look exactly like that doesn't negate the upward movement. It just means it's not going to look like that one. Because I just get the feeling that in his head, this is what was being imagined, or maybe was looking at a 5-minute chart, right? Because on a 5-minute chart, this looked kind of like this. Boom, boom, right? And then a break, right? The problem is on the 5-minute chart, this is the real stop, which is the same as this one. And so there was just a lot of zooming in that was being done there. Right, and then we talk about algorithms and all that kind of stuff, right? So I point this out because like these things that we're not trying to run you down. There's lots of really great stuff that we all do. We all kind of get into this, and sometimes the more we know, the worse it is. I love how like these fluid moves are drawn in. I think that's really good, right? You see that where all these little boxes are being made for like every fluid move. But they kind of represent a 5-minute chart in a way, don't they? Or even a 10-minute chart. So neat stuff. I am going to move on because we've got a lot of those. We've got Michael Pagan here. And coaching question. Entered this trade in the first 31 seconds because it was clearing. And let's see, the perspective was on your chart seemed as if it was growing into a tail bar. Was I wrong for entering the trade so early? I get what you mean. Like it opened here, it went down first, and then it became a wipeout. And you know, those are not bad, to be quite honest. Those, if I'm gonna do an early entry like that, I will do things like that. It's like, okay, like identified beautiful position, right? That position is beautiful, right? First thing it does, it sells, right? Boom. Second thing it does is within a bunch of seconds, we're going through here. So quick event stop, tiny risk of 15 cents or something like that. I'll do things like that and be like, what the heck, 15 cents? I have a hotkey that will set a hard stop like immediately at 20 cents, which gives me enough room to go and move it so that like, you know, if something rapidly jumps through price, I lost almost nothing, but I get a great entry. I don't mind doing this when the position is brilliant, but we know that the first 31 seconds have very little. I still would wait longer than that. There's nothing about the first 30 seconds, especially in this market, that has any kind of consistency. Would you guys agree? It's like everything you think is something, like a minute later is something else these days. Like everything. I see nothing following through. And, right now I'm often playing the first pullback. I just go, if 8 out of 10 of my charts do this foolishness, or they look like the most beautiful bull elephant bar, and then by the time the bar closes, it's 80% wiped out. I'm like, nah, I just leave it alone. Those days will come back, but they're not here right now, and it's annoying because I miss a lot of first moves. Like honestly, I'll just go in one lot with a lot of stuff these days, and then I'll add if it keeps going. But like, there are times when Oliver says if there's any day of the week to be like a 1-lot entry or a 5-minute chart entry or a 2-push profit take, this whole summer is pretty much going to be like that, unless people are spooked by this Fed announcement, which, who knows where we're at right now. I can take a quick peek, but looks like Looks like the market doesn't know what to do with itself. So, okay, well that's CCL, but here are the Qs, and it's selling a little bit, but I was interested in watching what some of the wealth trades do. So, the question here on this play, was I wrong for exiting all lots, or should I do the plan in reverse after taking off 2 or 3 lots? And I think the event stop is down here. So I don't think that, I mean, unless this was considered a second trade, and if it was, then you would take off 3 right here. But, and instead, a stop and reverse was done. And I'm not going to say that's wrong. I mean, that is basically like if you go from low to high, this is the nosedive right here. That's the one that falls off a cliff. And shorting that, I don't think would be wrong. I will tell you, though, that a lot of times when you short right into this tight Fabulous 4, next thing you're going to see is that. I would say 8 out of 10 times when you short into this, you'll get 360, meaning you're long here, you go in short on the 180, and then at 180s again, and that's, I call that the 360. And you end up losing both directions. So you get that. Yeah, I hear you, Michael. It's like a lot of things are not really following through that great in the sense that you have to pick the larger pivot and you just have to let that hold, right? So like a lot of these like tiny green bar, red bar ignored entries are not particularly easy to spot the way they are sometimes. But I hope I discussed this clear enough for you, right? So, hey, if you got it out of this with a small profit, great. I still don't see, because you shorted it. Yeah, good job. I actually think there was room. I will say this. When you get to break even, take 3/4 of it off. And then treat it like a new trade. And just let it trail out, right? Because break even is a particular price that's good for your blood sugar levels or your your blood pressure or whatever. But once you've reduced that, you go, look at this bear elephant bar here. What if that continues? Like, you don't ever want to miss those. So you want to see what kind of trend forms and trail it out, right? So if you're frustrated with your trading slump, well, you took the right action. The only reason you're frustrated is you didn't keep 1 on or 2 on, because this would have been a home run, right? So, like, once you're kind of out of scary waters, everything inside you says, oh, I just got to get out, right? You're like, oh, thank goodness, I'm back to break even. And that's the one, like, count how many times that you have that. Like, just write that sentence down and count it. And every time that, like, I was in trouble, I'm in break even, and I got out, and then make one more box to the right of that that says, and after I got out, it was a home run. Figure out how many times that happens. Because that's how the big dogs win. While everyone else is panicking, they're actually getting big in their position. And they may have a big stop, but if it goes, they're paring down as they get into profitable territory, and then they're letting it ride. And when it starts going, here's an ad. Here's another ad. Here's another ad. Here's another ad. Profit takes. Here's another ad. Profit takes. Profit takes. Out, right? You guys can see that, right? Like, there's plenty of room. If you just leave that one off, you'll never get here. You know, if you take it off completely, you'll never get there. But you want to be able to sit through this what's the harm, right? Once you got it down to 1 or 2 lots, is it a problem if you lose 30 or 60 bucks? I mean, once you get this trade back to break even, you go, you know what? If this turns into a, and stop, like, don't even worry about this. Okay, I know you got a tight Fab 4. You went into it. Definitely get back into break even. But your practice is to see what this checklist will do. And once like you've got a fluid move direction, like once you've got that, game's on, right? Is this a fluid move, right? Forget all this other stuff. Is from here to here a really fluid move? I know everything's going to say technical analysis this, it should bounce back up, it should go like that, right? No, the most recent thing is a bear elephant bar that looks like that. So all this other stuff is not the important stuff. The most important stuff is the most recent move. What was it? It was a nosedive. So you've got to be able to sit through one pullback, right? If you can sit through one pullback, you'll see what happens. What happens if it goes up? And then it triggers a sell. Well, you're going to add and you're going to see what happens. Maybe you'll take some out at the new low and you'll trail it out, right? But you'll never catch these guys. Your job is to hang in long enough to catch these guys. And the problem is we get to here and then what do? We go fishing for something else. So oftentimes the second you start fishing for something else, you've just left the trade of the day. And you might want to write down how many times you do that too. So I hope that was helpful. I'm gonna keep moving on here because we gotta get through a lot of these actually right now. Hamsraj, okay. XOM, you're welcome. Anticipatory entry, nosedive. All right. I believe this turned then into a short here. And this is the place where, like, okay, we were long, we got out 2, then we went short 3, and then we got our 3 pushes. Nice profit take here. Added here. And then we had a stop when it came back over here. I would be out here most likely. This is totally right. This is totally right. Getting out here, right? That one didn't work. I just call this like here's your failure to continue. I call this the first red, and I call this the second red. I know Jan's gonna say no, but I would call this the double loss of color rule, right? I call that the first one because it's also the bar that should have continued. That is a failure, and then it's also the first wipeout, and then I call this the second one. And I also say that because now we're like this should have gone somewhere, right? This should have produced more, and it didn't. And I just go, we needed to get something really going. And then we got the first one. We got a second try. And then I go, this 180, though, I'm saying this is wrong. Can you guys see that? Like, this first pullback should produce something. It starts to break through. Red gets wiped out. Then this massive red gets wiped out. I'm almost calling, it's more like I'm calling this one a double wipeout because that is just a massive 180, isn't it? That is not what should be happening if this is going to go down. This is not, it might. I think the stop is correct, though. I think they did. I think it's a good job here. I do think the 2-bar break of the pivot is this. You guys can see that. That's really the 2-bar break, this next bar. But, rode all the way down here. I did, you know, I kind of think 2 might have been a lot here. I think you could take -1 right here, and then another -1, and then trail this back up, and you got to add here, and this one went up. So what? They don't all, you know, it did the opposite of what it should do. The other thing you'll notice, though, is that this, once it had time, then it started to change direction, right? Violet moved down, but after time, the move down is negated, right? So that's a thing that you'll see. Moving on here. All right, whose was this? I made it wider. I don't know if that helped, but I wanted to be able to read. Ali, okay. Good stuff. So we had Microsoft forming, and of course, Ali, now you do identify the hybrid bar over here, plus position, right? It opened here, it went down first, and when it wiped everything out, you took an anticipatory entry and a max loss per trade stop. So somewhere down here. So your first push I can see would be in here. I think this bar here is as good as 2 pushes. So taking some up here I think is totally fine. Then once this red bar was taken out, you add it again. Stop was adjusted here once you got a little bit of follow through. I'll accept that. And then you considered this a first pullback in the top, which is fine. So you put an add here. And at 7, we got about 70% of the way up. And so the stop came up to here. And this, however, is not a 2-bar break. That is not a 2-bar break. That's a 1-bar break. So I think if that's a break at all, because here's the thing. When you have these breaks, if you have a sideways thing happening, which, right, we can agree that all these bars are in a sideways thing, right? We can all see that. Take the lowest one, not the most recent one, the lowest one of everything that's in that sideways range, and I would say that never broke. So I think you would have got to the new high, and you probably would have got out most right in there. Does that make sense, Ali? It should be, you know, it should be here or possibly even here. I would say even give it that much room. Just give it room. Give it a chance to get up here. This 180, I think, was powerful. And when your next bar, this one right here, is trading inside the range of these two guys, don't worry about it. Nothing that's happening inside the range of these 2 bars should concern you, right? It's not really, it's when we get beyond that range that we start going, something's wrong. But the real low is this one. This deserved a profit take. If it turned into that bar, I would say something's wrong. And so I would be out 1 or 2, and I'd let the rest stop out on the 2-bar break, which would be this bar, because I think this one takes out the low. Right? You guys get that one? It kind of formed a strange whale. I also have a problem with calling this a pullback. Why do you guys think I would have a problem calling that a pullback? Let's see who's got an answer for that. Okay. I think if you're trading in the sideways range of a bunch of other bars, it's really hard to call that a pullback. You guys see what I'm saying? It's just a sideways range. Like it could go like this, but I don't go, this is a pullback, right? A pullback should be, right, a multiple bar move inside the range of some other fluid move, right? Does that make sense? It shouldn't be in the sideways range of something else. So, sorry, Emma's in the background there, going down for a nap with much protest. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So just be aware of that. This is a pullback, right? And but the reason that, so if this is the pullback, the question is, would you even be in it at that point, and why not? Oh, good. This microphone has good canceling then. Right. What do we call this? We've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? It's a time stop. So I think the time stop would take you out of this if you chose to use it. But I think this is a lot of data to get below. Once you get below that, especially with the failed kind of breakout here, I kind of go, no, probably not going anywhere. So just an interesting thing to look at. But that is one of your stop adjusts, and that can happen before you even add, right? You can stop out before the add. All right, so Ali's got another one here. We've got a long one lot here. Makes sense. That's a pretty good distance. That's over $1. It doesn't say what the max loss per trade is here, so I don't know if that's a lot. Now, we got another add here on the hidden red bar ignored, right? We see that. So that got us up to 2 lots. I would call this somewhere up here, anywhere in this box, the 2 push land past the hidden red bar ignored, right? So if you've taken your add on a red bar ignored, 2 pushes beyond there, you now have a right, because it's already had its pause. You now have a right to take some profits. So taking 1 off there is okay. Then we have an add down here, right, after the pullback. I do think this drops a little steep, but you know what? You still got to do it. You still got to add. The only thing is the stop was adjusted. Didn't pass the. So let's see. It looks like you closed the whole trade here, which you're not supposed to do. You can take 1 off, but not both. Add here, you got to do. Stop adjust should not happen yet. This is your stop. And if you stayed in it, now once you get down here, you start saying, you know what, there's some problems. You know what you do? You add another one right here. And then you start, if you can afford it. But, I'd add one here, and then if I have real problems, I go, you know what, it's probably going to give me about this much of a move. So if I can add 1 or 2 here and bring my stop up, then I start exiting the trade. But that's more advanced. That's kind of like, here's my double dip. I'm not going for a triple. If I can afford it, I'll put in another one here. And if that gets my break even down, I might take 1 or 2 off and see if this holds, right? Boom. And I take 1 or 2 off because it just has to do with my risk tolerance, right? Now, after this big, huge move down, things start being called into question. And I would say we're not going to try not to lose, right? But I will say that, like, when you start getting in bigger than you expected, you had some profits up here. Now you may say, I'm not going to sit through this one, and if you add here, it'll get you to break even. And yeah, and then of course it went up huge after that. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you're right at, like, I know this looked scary, but my question is this: has this totally wiped out your reason for getting in. Has it totally wiped it out? No. The 20 MA on the 5 is probably right here. And, it's like this is the strongest thing. This is the exact spot where it's supposed to hold. And when this is what Oliver hates, is when you get out right there, and then, so when you have the one thing that's supposed to hold this up, you got to give it the chance, right? So yeah, if I add here, I would say I'm in really big. I would release some of the pressure in this zone, but I wouldn't close it, right? You after it's done its double dip, see if the double dip holds, right? High or low, and then it went to the moon, right? You don't know, especially right now. You don't know. You know why it's especially right now you don't know? Because we're not trending. Well, we might be after today, but I'll tell you what this is probably going to do. It's going to go like this. It's going to come all the way down in here somewhere, and then it might come up to a new high, and then it'll, tank out somewhere else. Whoops, I changed it on you. But you see what I'm saying? Things are more likely right now to trade inside this range than during the rest of the year. So looks scary, and then by the end of the day, it's all the way up here, right? So, that's all there is to it, right? Be more patient with that stuff. All right, better move on because I got a million of these. All right, I got to start busting through. Ali, I'm gonna move on because we got too many other ones to run through. So Andrew, here we go. Andrew identified this massive elephant bar, still as shown here, in this fabulous 4. It hasn't broken through yet, right? Now, let's see. Andrew, are you there? Because I want you to answer a question for me. Narrow or wide? This fabulous 4. It's kind of wide, right? And when you have a wide fabulous 4, do we get a lot of volatility? Right? So yes. So entries here, this can come all the way down here, and it could still hold and go all the way back up. That's how these things work. They're kind of nuts, and that's why we kind of avoid them. Now, I like that you identified the wipe out of this red. That makes sense. And then it kind of violently went the other way, and you had added here and didn't like it and got out and all that kind of stuff. The bottom line is these things just don't hold up. But even if you had an event stop, still wondering I realized this key error, blah, blah, blah. I mean, all these things are opinions and what you were thinking about. What about just the initial stop? Did we hit it? Well, we put the stop here expecting it to go straight up. And it's just a clean stop, but I don't think you have to look for adding or anything else there. I see that also after you got in here, it violently goes back, and then you still put another one add, and like you said, bad add, no event. Totally fine. I get it. I just think after this becomes this tail, you go, how do I get out of this thing? Because it's not going to do anything else for me. I mean, basically, yes, you've got to stop here, and I think you stop adding there, and you just take the stop when it happens. So, I don't want to be too picky about this one, but it just, it did exactly what these trap zone things are supposed to do. Right? That's all I can say about it. It's until it gets below this solid green here, it's up, even with all this craziness. But like, I mean, interestingly, here's some important points. Here's the 200 coming in. So this is just smashing into an important zone, isn't it? And it's trying to figure out if it wants to clear it or not, because you can see if you go back even further, it had trouble with this. And, you don't know what it's going to form. And like, this is very bullish. And then taking out this red is also very bullish, right? Nothing wrong with that. And then the stop here, it just stopped, right? I just think the ads and stuff and the, that was a lot of thinking, I think. So it's not terrible. I think they're just kind of a better. I think that the thing to take out of it is just to pay attention to this whole like Fab 4 zone and go, is this really, is this really the zone you want to play? And I'm glad you made went into it and kind of saw what it did with you. That's a really good exercise. It's just to see, whoa, the roller coaster that's happening there, right? Well, it's an indecision zone, right? You're saying memory zone, but like these guys want to sell, everybody over here wants to buy, and everywhere in the middle they're at war. Can you see that? Buy zone, sell zone, and then like we don't know. Right? So, Oliver's just talking like, where's the sell zone going to be? It's going to be somewhere in here. Where's the buy zone going to be? Well, after that first bar, anything inside this bar is going to be the buy zone, right? Here's your buy zone. And then if there's going to be a sell zone, well, it's somewhere in this mess, apparently. And that was confirmed by this stuff. You didn't know at first, but that's what it turned into. So once you identify that with these with this stuff, you kind of go, well, that's some trap zone business, and you got to just let it trail out. Yeah, like you said, look for better ones. So here's another one by Andrew, right? Hybrid bar, anticipatory entry, long 2 lots, beautiful position, right? Is this not like the picture of what you're looking for? Started by going down, right? On the way back up, I would say that's a great anticipatory entry at perfect spot. We got so excited that we just added here with no. That is not a hybrid. I don't like that as a hybrid. I like this RBI, but I'd like to see a little more of a tail. That is like, 3 pennies. Look, if you're going to use a hidden red bar ignored, ask yourself this: would you use the wick of that as a stop? If you couldn't use the wick of that as a reasonable stop, because like, I don't know, someone could just drop the bid on you and swallow you up. I think it's too small to call it that, but I get what you did. I would prefer, like, compare that to like entering above this red, right? And it starts moving up, and then saying, that lot that you added, that could be like a hidden RBI. You should also be able to use it as like stop to color, if you're calling it an RBI, right? There's just not enough here. I would like to see like some kind of a wick that said, we're going to go somewhere. And I'm just being a little picky because a lot of things have bars that look like that. And I don't know. Am I being too picky, Jan? I don't know. But Tony says no. Okay. Yeah, I think it needs to be just a little more, right? But anyway, beautiful entry. You got 2 pushes beyond this red, right? So that makes it, you're allowed to take some here, and I love this profit take as well. I think there's no problem with that. Now, rather than stop adjusting out, we got excited here and closed the trade. And like you said, maybe you should have made it to here. Or if we're trailing the 8 MA, you could say this is the break, and you know, the 2 bar break is anything below that. You know, just go, okay, this is getting sort of big here. Because you can't, like, why can't we use bar by bar? I mean, you can, but why does bar by bar not really fit? Well, it is clearly power trending. Yeah, right. When you have something going parallel to the 20, like bar by bar could be here, it could be here, it could be here. Like that's, see, and what it does is it gets you out way before the whole thing. Yes, what you want for bar by bar is here's the 20 and you have an increased angle and now you go bar by bar. That's when you can use bar by bar, right? That's when you use that separation. So this is correct. Like this is where the real exit is. So good job identifying that, Andrew. Yeah, good job. All right, somebody sent us this. I don't know who or why. So unless somebody wants to stand up and tell me who, I'm going to move on. It just showed up in our journals here. Some people are typing. So let's see. Okay. Oh, Dennis shows up after I gave him a hard time. All right. So you'll have to go back to the recording. Oh, how I would trade it. Well, let's do this, right? Boom. -2. Then stop. Boom. What the checklist says is to add there, but this is where I would be adding. You know. So I would be adding in there. So I'd be doing a -1 there. Right. Well, this is more black team stuff. But when you're the next bar or two after a massive power bar like this, you know, there's going to be an order somewhere in here. New low, profit take, right? So I would be +1, and I would have 2 left. Right? We get a couple of pushes here. I think this bar would be a +1. And I would have 1 left, -1. 20 MA, I don't care. I'm adding another one, -1, -2. It just, why is that? Well, here's the most fluid move down, most recent fluid move down. So we bring that over, we draw it in. 50% is right here, and where this triggered is exactly at 50%. I will never miss something that triggers at 50%, even if this is a strong bar. If it's at the 50% zone, I am not afraid of strong bars that are halted in the 50% zone and trigger at or beyond 50%. So right here, new low, +1, and I still have 1 left. I do not add anymore after this. Now, I would be adding here, but I'm not going to because that's my profit take zone, and I'm not going to just add again right where I just took profits. I don't do that. So I took a profit here right at the new low. I sat around, waited, this started charging down, stop adjust to right here. Now I think we get an acceleration, and I might big bar stop adjust, and I think this would take me out right here. I still think there's a possibility that I would either close this right here or wait for one more pivot, and this is the other place where I would get out. Failed new low. So if I got a failed new low in this big 180, I'd be out above that bar. So that's how I would trade that if I got into it. But you know, in a way, like if we're looking at a 1 minute chart, is this kind of like a first pullback? I mean, it is, right? But I am not scared of anything that's going to just jump into that solid red bar and then start selling again. Now, I might have an order just sitting here, or I might wait for this to close and start going down, and it just kind of depends on how that moves up. Yeah, it is a cha-ching, right? That's a big money play, right? I even think that an anticipatory entry here just below the whole number would be worthwhile. But yeah, that'd be good. And then if I was feeling really crazy, I'd probably also go long here, right? And ride that up, profit take, add, profit take, right? Boom. Stop adjust, and somewhere in here probably get stopped out, depending on what happens between the highs and lows of this. If it starts breaking down, I'd be out. So I don't think 1 minute. I just go, is this bar 2 or bar 3 after an elephant bar? If the answer is yes, then an add is warranted. Right? I don't have to look at a 1 minute chart to know that. Like if this is right next to this is going to have some power, right? And this zone is going to have some power, right? And when I see it reacting to that zone, I'm like, we're adding, right? Stop is still here. New low, profit take. I'll skip that ad, even though other people are doing that ad. Profit take. 50% add, right? Profit take. New low, stop adjust, stop adjust. It's, yeah, I mean, pretty simple, right? So, next one, let's see here. Geez, we're at 2 hours. Let me do this. How many do we have here? Because I got a whole baby. All right, got a lot of these. Let's see here. I'm not going to get through all of them. What do you think, Tony? Can I go another 15 minutes or? Yeah, you're going to be, Betty. You were getting there. You were doing it. Paula, how are we doing today for time? I know we've all had a long day. Oliver went really long. No problem. You have 1 hour more. Okay, gotcha. All right. So, whose trade is this one? eBay. Yeah. Oliver was excited about what was going to happen today. Oh, Simon, that's you. Okay. Long 2 lots. Put the stop down here. I like that. Gave it a little extra room. Yeah, I'll accept this as like kind of 2 to 3 pushes. We want you to label that now, right? So here's the thing. This ad is fine, right? Got to do it. You can do it. Our new high is likely after this drop, especially so close to it, right? Our new high is likely. Okay, Jan. Great stuff. Yep. Jan lives in Spain. He doesn't want all the wine to disappear before he gets in there. So, all right. So, as we know, right, new high not likely. I would take a little bit off. I would pare down and then stop adjust. And so, I would at least have this, and I think you trailed out fine. That's totally fine. That's all I have to say about that. So, and it's, yeah, I'm not going to go into too much more analysis than that. I think you followed the list really well. I just think that if you're adding here, this one should not turn into a loser. If you're adding after this drop, if your add was after a violent drop, don't let this add turn into a loser, right? That one needs to have some relief. If it's this lot, that one needs to be stopped out properly. You guys see that like the naming these correctly is important? One of these two lots is the one that needs to trail out this way. But the one on your add here, if this gets into profitable territory after a violent drop, this cannot become a loser. That one should not become a loser. Guys, make notes of that one, right? Yeah, it is too steep, right? This fell like a hammer, right? It just, so there's a pullback, which looks like this, right? Just smaller bars, boom. And then there's a nosedive, and, Oliver would explain it like, here's your plane, it's going off, it's going up, and at a certain point it gets so steep that it goes like this, right? Is that what we have here? That's why we call it a nosedive. If it just came after a nosedive, don't let this add become a loser. Now, I would say get this add down here, right? You're a little late. Get it in immediately, right? This was a hesitation, I think. And then when you get 2 or 3 pushes, if you're not going to get a new high, then get one out of there, right? And then let the last one trail out. You got to let the last one trail out because this nosedive is still in the top half, isn't it? Which means that it could keep going, right? It could totally keep going, but it didn't this time. Oh well. So I think that's really interesting. And a lot of things are just doing that right now, right? So here's another one, right? I think this is also you, Simon, right? Short 2 lots, panic attack, done. But that's what is happening, right? Everything is like, it starts at a nice looking Fab 4, looks like it should go somewhere, and then nope, we just want to play ping pong today. Welcome to summer. I'm going to move on because there's a lot of these. So now, I like this one, Michael. We've done a bunch, but long 2 lots, add on the red bar ignored, profit take 2 pushes later. I think that's good. Another profit take up here. I think you got your pluses and minuses backwards. I think you meant to say -1 + 2 and -1 + 1, but that's fine. But all these ads and profit takes and all that, I just leave it alone. So, and you've noted that here. It turned into P&L trading. You just have to think of this. You got up to 3. I think PT1, PT2. You don't know where the pullback's going to happen, but the further we get up this way, what happens to the odds of a pullback? The further along we get, what happens to the odds of a pullback? It increases, right? So if the odds are increasing, I would not get into just adding on every, red bar ignored and then taking one off 10 cents later. Because if you do the math, all right, you take this profit take here and you leave one lot on. I guarantee this, without even looking at the results, that if that one lot, once we got up here, if we just put a stop to color and let this trail out to here, how probable is it that that would be more profitable than all this red and blue and red and blue and red and blue? Like, I guarantee you more would have been made by just leaving that one lot to do its work than by all this in and out and in and out. right? It just works out that way, right? It just does it. Like, probably would have made like 50 cents here, and I'll bet that all this green and blue and red and blue, I bet that just made like 30 cents. It's weird, but it works like that. And the other thing is that, like, and then I think a short happened here. I think you sold short and then took some profits, and so that just shows that you're thinking too many directions, right? You should be thinking long only. And I would even say, what would happen if you just only got 2 lots and you let this ride all the way to the top with no profit takes? You'd probably go, that would be more profitable than whatever that turned into. So it's interesting, right? It's interesting. That can happen. So that is a power trend, but we don't see the 8 MA on there. But I'm pretty sure this is an 8 MA break. I think I put this on here because somebody else did it. Oh yeah, here's another one. So I think I have 2 or 3 of these that look very similar, right? But long add. I love that we got up here. This was only 1 lot in the beginning. We had an add right here. Beautiful profit take there. Confused on which stop to use here because there was no pullback. Is color the right stop? Once we move away, yes, color is the right stop. And then nice 8 MA trail. And then somewhere in this bar you can get out. That's your re-journaled trade. Okay, love it. Great stuff. Journaled pretty much exactly the way of what I said. Good job. Yeah, so that's good. That's a really good exercise to go back and do that. And here we go again. We've got another XOM. Who did this one? Gilles. Okay. All right. So, and it looks like Andrew has a question. Did the same trade. So you can type that in, Andrew. I'm going to go. So the color stop was fine. Okay. So let's see here. I think this is good entry, good add. Your long 3 lots. Let's see here. I think this is good entry, good add. Your long 3 lots. Here's your max loss per trade stop. After 2 green bars, your stop can move to color. Totally fine, right? 3 pushes. I see that what happened is we took all out and then we added 1 back in. Should you move the stop? Well, so this is why you don't take all. This question is why you can't take all right here. Should I do this as the stop? Like once you add again here, so you close the trade completely. You guys understand that's what's being said. The trade is closed completely right here. And then 1 lot goes back on. And the question is, what do I do now for the stop loss? Right? And it becomes a whole new trade. That's why you don't take it out. That's why you leave it in there. So once you do a red bar ignored add like this, it doesn't make sense to lose a lot of your profits. So you kind of have to do this little red bar stop. Now, what's the problem with this entry and this stop? Like, it's too far, right? The power move opened way above everything. The power move is at its end, right? So this can continue, but the odds are low, right? So you just keep this 1 lot on, and it's more about trailing this out. Because if you're in the trail out mode and here's your stop, this can fall from here back to the 20. Now you can add, and now you can hang in there and trail this out, right? But does the taking out of this red bar change the trend? Well, no. I mean, it hasn't even had a pullback yet. And it actually ignited out of a beautiful position. The position is beautiful, right? So So that's the problem. That's why you really have to leave one on and just be that last lot. One of these has to be your last lot, and it has to sit through. You can't make this one your last lot. You can't treat this one like your last lot because this stop is all the way down here, right? And then you can try moving this up, but why, right? Isn't the power of this bar throwing to the right, isn't it kind of recent? Like, could it come down here and still continue to new highs? It could, and then this bar would just be taking you out. I mean, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you what would happen is if it pulled back from here, it would come down and it would take out the low of this bar. And the buy would trigger up here somewhere. It'll knock you out, and then it'll trigger, and then it'll go to new highs. That's just a normal thing to happen, So I'm going to move on from this one, but you guys get the point on that, right? It just you got to. One of the first two lots that you put in the trade is the one that sits all the way to the end, right? And when that one is gone, your trade is done. It's over. The whole thing is over. No more entries, no more ads, nothing. One of those first two ones is the one that is going to be the last lot that you take. And when that one's gone, the trade is over. Does that concept make sense? It's not one of the subsequent ads that's going to be the last one that you take out. So it needs to be one of the first. Actually, make it the first time that you hit Alt 1 or Alt 3. That one is the one that lasts to the end, and the second one is going to be, a profit take. You have to think of it that way. So here we go. We've got Vladimir. We've got a long above everything. I like it, actually, right? What a wipeout this was of everything. The problem is it's June, and it's June is doing June, which is this. Nothing to say about that, right? Should this continue? Yep. I mean, it knocked out a lot of red. It cleared. It even pulled back into the space and then went up. I have no problem with this. It just did the June thing. So that's not your fault. That's the stock being stupid. Do you even want to short this here? No, because you just don't know. It's probably going to bounce back up and play ping pong. These days, it's more like playing these false breakdowns long and then coming up here and then getting out. It's just not. It's not what this is geared up for, is it? It's not the right thing. So I don't think so, Vladimir. It didn't really. I mean, you just don't want to play in this space. Nothing that happens in this space is really. And there will be a time of year. Like when things are flying, this is going to have a lot more impact. So if this were September, like I'm telling you, this thing would be flying, right? But right now, everything is, I'll show you. The way you can figure this out is just go to the daily chart. This is not a good example, but something that's like, okay, look at Starbucks. What does this mean? Right? What does that mean that this stock is doing? I mean, we're looking at all these fabulous fours and all this kind of stuff, but some things started moving, but what was Apple doing in this whole area? This is the daily chart, right? Keep that in mind, guys. Yeah. In the last couple of days, things have perked up a little, but look at AMD, right? What does this mean? What does that represent on these opening plays, right? It represents this. That is exactly what these opening plays look like when you go from the daily chart to the 2-minute, right? It just kind of stays in a range, right? Does that mean you can't play it? No. It just means that, like, you know, I'll tell you what it really means. It means that this stuff to the left is more important than the things that are trending on the daily chart. It just means that, like, a little more data to the left, or seeing what's going on in the 15 will actually have more meaning than on some of the ones that are trending. There are other ones that are trending, right? And the problem is you don't know which one is going to start breaking out of that channel either. If it breaks out of that sideways move, then all this is off, right? So it's good to have a clue what your stocks are doing, right? Yeah. And it doesn't mean they're all zone trading. Some are going to trend for a little while, and you just need to recognize when that goes sideways. Because when it goes sideways, game's over, right? So, all right, let's go through this one real quick, and then I'm going to hand it over to Tony. What do we have here? Oh, I recognize this, right? We did exactly this play. All right, so we did this, right? We did one here, we did another here, we did the ad, we didn't take profits, and we sold here. Well, I'm glad that everyone's doing the same thing. I do think this is the 2-bar break right here. So I see a lot of people getting out on this bar. It's 1 bar later. It needs to be this one, because that will keep you in, and sometimes that will happen. But there needed to be some profit takes here, and there needed to be a profit take up here. So I am going to hand it over right now, because it's time for Tony to talk about pullbacks. So I will. There are a few others, and I will separate them, and we'll bring those up on Monday. Put a separation in, and
hey, good job.
Good stuff, guys. Yeah, that just leaves 4 or 5.
Hey, good job.
All right.
Sound check.
Mic sound is good. All right. Well, Tony suggested that.
Thank you, sir. Sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Thank you very much. High five to you guys. Let's get the ball rolling here with the screen. If I can get the screen to come up. That's always a big if. Busy day in the market today. With the Fed meeting, market dropped like a rock. Then it's starting to bounce back up. Here it is. Okay, let me check the time. All right. So the Dow today gives us a bearish bar with a tail, right? A bottoming tail at the open, right at the prior day's close. Then it kind of drops, goes sideways, goes back to the prior day's close, and then rolls over. Drops nicely, gives you a Gibby. Guys, remember ribbies and gibbies I taught you, right? Another tool in your toolbox of gibbies. Coming down, another Gibby. Keeps going down, another Gibby. Then it drops hard, right? So that's about the time when, yeah, this is the Fed meeting. And it just drops real hard. Gives you a nice bottoming tail. Look at that bottoming tail. But it follows through with a bearish elephant bar. And gives you a little green bar. and then a little follow through. Almost another Gibby down there, almost. But after the second bar, we have a bull elephant bar. So it bounces off the bottom, starts to come back up. Green bar, green bar, green bar. It's all green coming back up. So it's halfway back up to the prior day's close. 50%. Got to keep those 50% in mind. The NASDAQ from the prior day's close opens up positive, right? A little neutral bar, another nice green bar. It's going a 45-degree angle up, and then all of a sudden it just rolls over. Goes sideways, drops right through the prior day's close, comes back to the prior day's close, gives you a bear elephant bar. Remember that I taught you guys about bulls and bears elephant bars, right? With a little Gibby and drops 2 o'clock. Big bottoming tail. Fed meeting, drops like a rock. Follow through with another bearish elephant bar. But this bar is a little more than halfway taken out with a green elephant bar. And then more red. So it's like a pause and then it drops some more. And it gives you a bar with a wick. Not a tail because it's too small to be a tail. Tail needs to be 2/3 the size of the bar. This tail is about equal to the bar. So it's a wick. And then it follows through with a green bull elephant bar. And another green bar all the way up to prior day's close. So the NASDAQs come roaring back. So it bounces and comes right back. So you have a V shape here, right? Right back to the prior highs, prior day's close. I don't know if it's a whole number here or not. Anyways, S&P opens up with a red bar, goes sideways on the prior day's close, and then drops. Goes sideways and drops. Gibbies, nice Gibby there, and then just drops like a rock again with the meeting. Comes back up, drops, follow through. This kind of looks like the NASDAQ. Pretty close, right? And of course, everything's kind of reddish today, except for the banks. The banks are up, right? Banks are doing decent. Amazon's kind of break even. Tesla's up, right? Microsoft's break even. Google, Oracle's down 5.39%. Oof. The finances like Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, American Express, these are all down. Capital One's kind of break even. Citibank's down. Walmart, Costco, all the discount stores, household goods, beverages, real estate, utilities. Real estate's kind of break even. So this the heat map tells us. All right. Now let's go to. Oh, shot through the heart. I'm to blame. Bam. All right. Do some pullbacks. All right. Now this is review for a lot of you, which is fantastic to review the tools, right? These pullbacks. For some of you, it could be brand new, so it may take hearing it several times to start to really get to. This is a little more advanced stuff than your basic lists that you guys are working on, but it's helped to see other things too that are coming down the pipe for you. You already have this in your bag if you're getting exposed to it now. So what is a pullback? The term pullback is usually applied to pricing drops that are relatively short in duration before the uptrend resumes. Right? It's pretty simple stuff. Nothing complicated, just a lot of big words. So pullback. Here's an example, right? What we just said. A pullback is usually applied to price drops that are relatively short in duration. Hold on, you guys, 1 second. The boss is calling. 1 second. Honey, I'm teaching class right now. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. We went on kind of long today. I'll do this quick. So, pullbacks usually price drops, relatively short in duration. Okay, this is a pullback, short in duration. In this case, let's say this is the 8 moving average. It pulls back to the 8, then it continues upward. Right? Goes to higher highs, pulls back to the 8 again. So it's a short drop before it continues, the uptrend resumes, right? Higher high, pulls back. Then higher highs, you're out. See the little flag up here? It's flagging you, saying topping tail, the flag telling you you're out. This trend is done. It's going to roll over. It's a trend change. It's not a pullback. We'll get into that a little bit more. So pullbacks are another tool for your toolbox, right? You get to be an expert on pullbacks. It's going to make you a much better, consistent trader. Okay, so what is pullbacks? Pullbacks, a pause or a moderate drop in the stock price from recent peaks that occur within a continuing uptrend. Wow, a bunch of big words again, saying the same thing, right? So this trend is upward, it pulls back a little, it pauses, and it continues uptrend, right? A moderate little drop in price. This one, the tail goes to the 20, continues the uptrend, drops down in price, continues the uptrend. Pullbacks are a challenge to learn. You have to practice them quite a bit to get good at it, get comfortable, get confident with it. So you know the difference between a pullback and a trend change. And you're not afraid. Pullback is a pause or moderate drop in stock price. That's the same one. Sorry about that. Duplication. Okay, here's a short trade on a pullback. So pullback is a temporary reversal in the action of the stock. All right, I've given you 3 different definitions to get it into your brain one way or another. 3 different definitions. A temporary reversal in the action of the stock. So here we have a downtrend, right? And this pulls back to the 8 moving average. So it's a temporary reversal in the action. And then continues the trend, the downward trend. Right? So this is a classic pullback. It's coming down, pullbacks to the 8, and continues down. Temporary reversal in the action of the stock. Of course, if you would have done this trade, this would have been your well complete down here. Right? The second leg is your well complete. Nice run here, pulls back, and nice drop. That's a well complete. And that's why pullbacks are important, because that's what we're looking for, are well completes every morning. Okay, repetition is what creates mastery of your skills. So you have to practice a lot journal your things. That way, you'll enhance your experience. Right? You're learning from us a lot of knowledge, and you practice and you build your experience, and then that's what helps your skill levels climb the ladder of success. Your goal is to become a master trader. You have to take the stairways one step at a time up to become a master trader. So repetition is a great mastery of your skills. If you want high level skills, you have to practice and know your stuff. There's no way around it. There's no quick, rich, easy scheme here. This is learning it and doing it. It's not that hard. Not rocket science. It's the same thing over and over. Well, you'll see pullbacks. You practice them over and over. It's the same thing, right? Here's a pullback on a long trade. Right? What's it do? You have a bullish period. It pulls back and then continues on. You'll get used to seeing these, and you'll be confident in trading them. So here's a short trade. You had a bear elephant bar at the open. That was a neutral bar. Then a bear elephant bar. And then it continues. But all of a sudden it pulls back on you. You're like, whoa, let's pull back to the 8, through the 8, 20. But then it drops and continues on. Right? The downward trend, it continues this downward trend. This is like a little pullback down. And you're done. This is the exhausted area. Here's the igniting area. Igniting, exhausting, done. On these pullbacks, it's a mandatory add because it's a great entry points. Pullbacks can be great entry points. You add here. If you miss this whole run, you can add. You can enter here. But if you already were in the play, then you add. And as this continues down, as this downward trend continues on, then you move your stop. If you had your stop here and you have a pullback, you add, it continues down, now you move your stop to here, right, and continue on. So you'll be playing with the house's money. You'll be in the money. Now, the best pullbacks don't pass 50% zone. Remember that 50% we were talking about today, earlier. So this one here pulls back almost in the 50% zone. Right? This would have been the 50% zone here, but this continues downward. And this pullback, it doesn't go 50%. It just goes down maybe a third, a little bit, and continues onward. So it's important to know best pullbacks don't go past 50% zone. We'll see more examples. There's the happy whale when you make your profits. And looking for whale completes in the morning. Okay, pullbacks can provide an entry point for traders looking to enter a position when other technical indicators remain bullish. So here you have a bull 180. This is the igniting of this trend, the igniting zone of this trend, right? When they start with a bull 180, they tend to be deeper, the trends longer. So this bull 180 gave us a ribby, gave us a little pullback here, a little sideways action, goes up and pulls back here. Pulls back to the 20 moving average. Then it shows us bottoming tails off the 20 moving average. And then you have a bull elephant bar off the 200 moving average. That looks like a power surge. Remember the power surge tools I showed you guys off the 200 moving average? Those are powerful. Oliver's favorite play, power surge off the 200 moving average. This guy pulls back all the way back through the 8 to the 20 moving average. Bottoming tail, and continues up the 8 train. Gives you a ribby up the 8 train. Pulls back to the 8, 2 bars, doesn't break the 8, continues on. There's the bottom and tail, 8 train continues on. So these can be entry points, right? The bull 180, the bottom and tail off the 200, power surge off the 200 moving average. Bottom and tail off the 20. Ribbies, pullbacks, but up here is the exhausted area. I wouldn't be adding up here. I'd be adding on the igniting area. This area, the lower end. Okay, so this one pulls back, right? You have a couple of nice bars off the 200 moving average, pulls back to the 8, gives you a bull elephant bar, right? You put your stop, you enter, let it go up. Pulls back to the 8 moving average, right? You can add, then as it follows through up, you move your stop. Nice run up. Ribby, another green bar follow through, nice. Then you're out. So nice trend up, nice run. Okay. This is important. What's the difference between a pullback or a trend change? A lot of people in the beginning have difficulties with this. A pullback or a trend change. So here the trend is going up the A train, right? So the trend is up. It's going up, up, up. Pulls back to the A. This is like a hang glider. The pullback is nice and easy. Doesn't go back too hard. Continues up the A train. Right? Little sideways action up the A train. Pulls back. This time it pulls to the 20. So it pulled back a little further, but it's still hang gliding. Continues up. So you have follow through, goes up, 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 goes all the way to prior day's close, and then it just drops like a rock, right? So when you have a hard collapse, it's more like a skydiver jumping out of a plane, goes straight down, right? Almost like violence, goes straight down. You have a hard collapse. So that's the difference. You know, pull back, you're a hang glider, and it's a nice, easy ride back. But a trend change is a hard collapse, and the price starts going the other direction. So then you have to get on the other side. So you have to get out fast. If you're on this upward trend, you get out fast. Or if you just see it, you get in on this one for a down, for a short, right? A pullback trader is a hang glider, not a skydiver. You don't want to see skydivers. That's a trend change. Another difference between a pullback and a trend change. It's very important that you're able to understand and know the difference. That's why you have to practice these. Right? You get in with the hang gliding before you get a hard collapse skydiver down. So The way a pullback begins is the key, right? Here's a pullback. It's nice and slow. There's another pullback, a little longer, but nice and easy. But here we have a hard collapse, right? Strong, hard collapse. That's the difference. It's a hard turn the other direction. So here's another example. Here's a sharp downtrend. The change. It's a trend change. It's a violent drop, and the trend is changing. All of a sudden, the MA's crossing. It's going down fast and hard. So normal pullbacks have a little angle to them, but not a violent drop, right? So this is a violent drop, and the trend changes. So know the difference. Here we have a pullback, a nice little hang glide, follow through up, goes back. This almost touches the 20, but it's right in the A train, right? Big red bar, still in right in the A train. Now it pulls, gets a little away from the 8 moving average. It pulls back to the 8. Nice little pullback, follows through up the 8. Then all of a sudden, it starts to drop. Gives you a big red bar because you were far. At this point, you're far from the 8. So this pulls back pretty hard all the way to the 8 and follows through. So this is a trend change. You have a violent drop here. Gibby drop. So this changes the trend. Right? MA's cross, goes back a little and then drops again. Because your Gibby drops again. So the trend changed on you. If you ride in this train up and you get a violent drop, it's time to get out fast. It's not a pullback, so get out fast. This is a trend change. You can turn around and short it if you care to ride the other side. Because it'll come down fast like the little cartoon guy coming down. Whoa! Get out fast. Alright, so it's good to take profits on the first pullback, bounce up, or sideways. Time. It's time. So this apple opens, pulls back, alright? Goes up to 8 train, goes back, goes up to 8, goes back to the 8. Riding the 8 train up, goes back to the 20. It's kind of like rolls over, looks like a trend change, but continues up the 8 moving average. But it's taking a long time. See, now it's like already lunchtime. It's already going up, past lunchtime. They have a time stop, you want to get out. It's taking too long. Yeah, so after a pullback, the profit-taking rules change to new highs, right? So it pulls back, you don't take profits at a new high. Pull back, new high. Pull back, new highs. That's how the profits go. Yeah, this one was a peekaboo. Kind of looks like a new high, but it's a peekaboo. So become an expert on pullback or counter trend trades moves. So these were a couple of my trades I did. Here's a 2-minute on Apple a while time ago. I get in right in here. I see it going up, but then it pulls back on me. Comes right back to That's my entry area. And then that shows follow through. Right. So then I see a ribby. But in this play I had some size going on, so I started layering out. Right, little pullback. I layered out. I think I layered out here, 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 all the way back to prior day's close. I'm out. Right. Would I have made bigger profits if I had not held through the pullback? So you have to learn to hold through pullbacks. Ooh, just started to pour rain outside. All right, and this one down here was NVIDIA a long time ago. Price was low. All right. So here we have what? Plus, plus, plus location. Nice bottoming tail. So I get in, right? Goes up, pulls back on me. But then it continues upward. So this was like hang glide pull. This wasn't a hard collapse. This wasn't a fast drop. Right? It's like a little neutral bar, a little red bar, neutral bar. Then it goes up. Starts showing you up the upward. Green bars, starting to ride the 8 train. It's on the 8 moving average. So right by here, I just start peeling out, all the way up. You see here, 1 minute, I left a few lots, took this pullback all the way to the 20 and the 8 moving average. This is a longer pullback. But then it just popped up with a nice bull elephant bars. All the way to prior day's close and the 200. When I saw that, I'm out. This area, I'm out. This is the exhausted area. This is the igniting area. So my last lots, gone out of there. If you don't learn to play pullbacks correctly, then you will never make bigger profits. You'll always be stuck making smaller profits. So you need to learn the pullbacks. You should practice pullbacks a lot. You know, you might want to open a practice account and practice, journal. That way you'll get used to doing the pullbacks correctly. Learn to do them correctly. So pullbacks are another tool in your toolbox. So in summary, the pullback is a temporary reversal in the action of the stock. All right. So you have a little pause, pulls back a few bars, it may hit a moving average and then continue upward. Vice versa if you're shorting. Best pullbacks don't go past 50% zone, right? You don't want them to go all the way back, halfway back, because then it may not go back. It won't go back up as far. Sure. Pullbacks can provide an entry point. If you miss the initial plays, you see a pullback, those are good entry points. A bull and A, when the pullback starts its life with a bull and A, they tend to be deeper. So the trend usually is a little longer. So the 180 will be the igniting area. Then you have pullbacks along the way, and then your exhausted area, time to get out. So a pullback trader is a hang glider, not a skydiver. You want to fly the hang gliders, right? Catch the air that pulls you back up. The warm air rising. You want to catch the warm air rising that pulls you back up, like a hang glider. You don't want to be a skydiver, because that's when you jump out of the plane and you drop like a rock, right? Then you know the trend has changed, right? You know the difference between a pullback and a trend change. So a hang glider, you're still in the same direction. The skydiver goes straight down. So after a pullback, taking profit rules change to new highs. So when you get a pullback, you look for the new highs. You wait for the follow through and look for new highs. Then you can start layering out. So pullbacks are a great tool for your toolbox. Practice and learn these pullbacks. The end. Ta-da! All right. Hope you enjoyed that short little presentation. Got a couple minutes left. Let's see if I can zoom through some nice little pullbacks today. Where is it? Here's one. Okay, so here's shorting as a pullback and drop this. So this pullback's like a hang glide, cut a little warm air, and then drop back down. Right? It's not a collapse all the way hard up. Comes down, pulls back, comes down, pulls back. This one comes all the way back. These are hang gliding, pulling back. It's not a trend change. The trend is still downwards, right? Comes down, pulls back. The trend is still downwards. So this one comes down, pulls back all the way to 20, and then drops again. Hang glides back up, drops again. Hang glide back up, drops even harder. Right? Those are examples of nice pullbacks. This one comes down, goes sideways, drops, little pullback, drops, and then the trend changed here. This one opens in the morning, goes up, pulls all the way back to the 20 where it opened, and then goes back up. This is a little more of a harder drop. But here you have a nice little hang glide, right? Goes to the 20, comes up, gives you a ribby, goes up. Oh, the market closed. So then goes back to the 8, ribby goes up. A couple more and I'll be done because Paola's got to go. Gaps up, sideways, ribby. That's not. Okay, gaps up, ribby, goes sideways, pull. This is like a little sideways pull back to the 8, goes up, ribby, pull back to the 8, follow through, pull back to the 20. These are little hang glides down. These are not hard collapses. This is not a trend change. It doesn't go past 50%. It continues up the 8 train, ribby. Little sideways action, all the way to these top and tails would tell me to get out because this is a pullback to the 20 and then another push up. Might leave the last lot for this maybe. Top and tail, it's a big flag telling me to get out. All right, on this one, gaps up, shows you a nice green bar and then pulls back a little hang glide pullback and then up the 8 train sideways. A pullback sideways to the 8. Gives you a nice ribby, follow through, pulls back to the 8, comes up, and you're done. This area, exhausted area, igniting area, exhausted area. Right, this one comes up, gives you a ribby, pulls back to the 8, ribby, ribby, up, you're done. Okay, last one. This one gives you a bull elephant bar, pulls back to the 200 moving average, the 8 moving average, right, and then up the has follow through, nice follow through up the 8 train. This sideways, little pullback sideways, goes up, a ribby goes up, sideways to the 8 moving average, then big time sideways. This looks like a barcode going across there, right? And then it follows through. I probably would have got out up here somewhere. All right, that was the last one. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Look at this crazy day on the Qs and the spies. 2 o'clock it drops like a rock and then it pulls back, drops again, pulls back, drops, comes, bounces off the bottom, has nice follow through, comes about 3/4 of the way back to prior day's close. It bounces off the 50% right in here and it's coming back up. Okay, very long day. I thank you all for staying. It's been a nice day in the market today. And
Hey, good job.
I hope you guys learn the difference between pullbacks and trend changes. Right? Get good at pullbacks. You're going to be profitable. It's going to help build your confidence. It's going to give you the knowledge and the discipline and the patience you need to do the right things. Okay, you're welcome, you guys. And yeah,
Hey,
are
good
you
job.
there? Oh, Jan's there. Guess we'll be meeting again on Monday. Mondays is at 11 o'clock unless Oliver has other things planned. So I'm going to stop right now so Paola can move on to her next assignment. We want to thank you, Paola, for your translations and your help staying with us. And